What is going on, guys? Greggles TV. We've got two very interesting phones here. We have the TCL 10 Pro, which is their newest budget, kind of premium budget phone, and they have the iPhone SE 2020. Now, the iPhone SE base price goes for $399 and the TCL Pro 10 Pro goes for $449, but this version of the TCL 10 Pro has 128 gigabytes of storage. If you buy 128 gigabyte of the SE20, it's also $449. So basically, they're kind of the same price. We're going to take a closer look at these. We're going to compare the cameras. We're going to compare like basically every feature of these phones to tell you which is the better buy. First, let's talk about the design. So the design on both of these, I would personally have to give it to the TCL 10 Pro due to it having a more modern design, but the iPhone still looks really classic, really pretty. It's a great looking device. You get the one camera on the top left, whereas on the TCL 10 Pro, you get four cameras, dual flashes as well. Only one flash on the iPhone SE 2020. When you get to the front here, that's where you see some big differences. This has two huge bezels at the top and at the bottom. One at the bottom houses the fingerprint sensor / home button, and then at the top you get a speaker, and as well as the camera. And then on here, you can't really tell, but there is a teardrop design on the front there. I'll show you by loading up a video. And on the video, when I pinch in, this is where you're gonna see it. You can see it does have a teardrop design right there that houses the single front-facing camera. And then other than that, it's just pure screen. It is a curved display, whereas the iPhone is more flat. So that's a preference thing at that point. But yeah, completely different design. So design-wise, I'd give it to the TCL 10 Pro. Next, let's talk about the front of the phones, and specifically the fingerprint sensors. On the iPhone, you only get a fingerprint sensor to unlock the phone. You can also use a code, and then on the TCL 10 Pro, you also get a fingerprint sensor. As you can see down here, it's into the display, and you also get face unlock. That's why it unlocks really quickly. So you can see how quick I'm literally just sliding my face under the camera, and it is unlocking my phone very quickly. The fingerprint sensor on here, you can see I actually have a little bit of an issue unlocking the phone sometimes with it. I personally don't love it. I don't know if they just need to push an update out. I'm doing this video at the time, the second day of having this. So again, maybe it just needs an update to fix that. But the iPhone fingerprint sensor is pretty reliable. It's definitely more reliable than the fingerprint sensor on the TCL 10 Pro. So fingerprint sensor wise, iPhone wins, but I love face unlock. This has that, and it has the fingerprint sensor. Hopefully they can fix it with an update. I'm gonna give it a tie. Now, both of these phones do have Bluetooth 5.0. You can also plug in headphones at the bottom via USB-C on the TCL phone and via Lightning on the iPhone. But what if you wanted to use traditional headphones? The only phone that has a traditional headphone import is the TCL 10 Pro, so you have to give the win to that for the TCL phone. Also, in terms of button layout, on the two phones you get a power button, you get volume up and down. It's switched a little bit, so you get all of that on one side on the TCL phone, but on the iPhone you get a power button here and the volume buttons up and down. You also get a mute switch. You don't have a mute switch on the TCL phone. You can do that right through the software. But one cool thing that the TCL phone has that the iPhone doesn't is this smart button. So you can program this smart button very easily by going into the settings and making it do multiple things. So you can press it, the way I have it set up, I press it once, turns on my flashlight, press it twice, and it takes a screenshot, or I can press and hold it, and it will load up a feature that allows me to run two apps at once, one on top of the other. They call it split view or multi-window. So maybe I want to do a video up here and a website down here, or social media and a video, whatever it may be. You can do that on here very easily, very quickly. As you can see right there, two windows. You can make these bigger or smaller. You can turn it this way as well. And that's just one way to take complete control over your phone and just on a software level. So in terms of button layouts or buttons available, if you want to call it that, I'd give it to the TCL 10 Pro because they both obviously have power and volume up and down, and the iPhone has a mute switch, but I actually prefer it just by swiping down here and doing it in the quick toggles to mute it or turn the volume on. But I love that smart button. I think it's great. It's super customizable and adds a ton of features. Next, let's check out the cameras. I'll do selfie photos, selfie videos, and I'll also do some photos on the back cameras as well with photos and videos. Here's a little front video action. I'm currently looking at the TCL 10 Pro. You can probably hear some noise in the background. And this one also records 1080p, as does the iPhone on here. But still, again, looking at the TCL 10 Pro now, I'm going to switch over to the iPhone. And you can tell the difference between looks and sound of the front camera of these two phones. Now let's switch over to the back. And again, currently looking at the TCL 10 Pro back camera. This is recording in 4K 30, and both phones do 4K video. The iPhone does go up to 4K 60 if you set it that way, but I have them set both to 4K 30. Currently, now I'm looking at the iPhone SE 2020. Again, 4K video, 30 frames per second, to see which one looks and sounds better. Before we jump into the software with these phones, iPhone can wirelessly charge. The TCL phone cannot. So if you need wireless charging, you're gonna have to go with the iPhone. But if you don't need wireless charging, then you should be pretty okay with the TCL 10 Pro. One thing that the TCL 10 Pro has that the iPhone doesn't is an IR blaster. So what this is going to do, and it has an app on the phone as well, it's going to allow you to shut off your TV, set-top box, your air conditioner, your, does it say net box? I don't even know what a net box is. Projector, DVD player, air cleaner, all these devices here, it's gonna allow you to control it with your phone with that IR remote. So kind of cool. This is an old school thing. A lot of phones in the past, Samsung phones used to have it. A lot of them don't. So remember, headphone jack and IR blaster, bringing it back 2020 style. Now internally, in terms of processor and graphics, it's kind of a big difference. So with the TCL 10 Pro, you get a Snapdragon 675, which is a middle of the road processor. It's not the best, not the worst, it's in the middle. And with the iPhone, you get the A13, which is basically one of the best, if not the best, performing processors on Apple and Android. And I played, if you're a gamer, you're definitely gonna want the iPhone. The iPhone can play at high graphics up to 60 frames per second, whereas on the TCL 10 Pro, you can only do up to 30 frames per second on low graphics. So, I mean, it will play games like Fortnite. It just won't do it as well as the iPhone. So if gaming's a big thing to you, they'll both game. But if you need to go that extra mile and get the best out of your gaming, go with the iPhone. One thing to know, they both do get warm. So that is something to take hold of. In terms of displays, you've got a 4.7-inch LCD screen on the iPhone. On the TCL 10 Pro, you get an AMOLED 6.47-inch display. Both of them get reasonably bright. So I wouldn't give one over the other in terms of brightness or anything like that, at least from what I can see. They both perform well in that regard. But in terms of quality of display, don't get me wrong, I think iPhone, even though it's an LCD display, it looks really nice. And it doesn't bother me in the least. But if I had to choose a display to have, I think that the TCL phone just looks, the colors are more inky and blotty and richer and just more pretty to the eye. So I would personally give it to the TCL 10 Pro for the better display. And then checking out a video between the two here, 1, 2, 3. You can get a better look at these. You get a bigger display on the TCL phone, obviously. And I don't know, like I said, it just looks a little bit better to me. It's an AMOLED display. AMOLED always, to me, looks better for the most part than the LCD displays. The whites are whiter, the blacks are blacker, just the colors are richer overall. Let's check out the speakers. On both of these phones, the iPhone, you get stereo speakers. On the TCL phone 10 Pro, you only get a mono speaker. Let's check that out, the sound. Very soon. If not, then it's still a very good added bonus for the 50 bucks you pay to add that many more channels. Next up is about the next OnePlus phone. Now it could be the OnePlus 8 Pro. Let's jump into the iPhone. 50 bucks you pay to add that many more channels. Next up is about the next OnePlus phone. Now it could be the OnePlus 8 Pro T or the OnePlus 9 Pro or 9, whatever they end up. The OnePlus 9 Pro or 9, whatever they end up calling this phone. To me, the volumes are very close. It's tough to tell, but in terms of just quality of sound, the iPhone does sound a little bit more thicker, a little bit more pronounced. So I would guess I would give the sound to the iPhone SE 2020. In terms of software, completely different. This obviously runs Android 10. This runs iOS, the latest version of iOS. And most likely this iOS phone, this iPhone is going to get updates for probably more years, way more years than this TCL phone will. So if you're looking for a phone for the next, maybe 3 to 5 years, I would tell you to go to the iPhone. And there's a chance this will get updates up to 3 years. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I guess just in that regard, I would give the iPhone the win. But in terms of customization, there's no contest. There's a couple things you can do on iPhone. You can come in here and just look at settings and change some things around. But what you see is what you get. You do have some widgets and stuff here that you can mess with if you want. And you can make folders, and you can change your wallpaper, but that's pretty much all you can do with this phone. Like I told you, you can customize this button on the side to pretty much do whatever you want. You can go and look at your app drawer. You can look at all your apps, and you can sort that any way you want, from icon colors to categories to usage to labels. You can go into settings, and you can go into advanced features, and you can change all of this stuff. You can change the way your navigation is. If you don't like using these back buttons, home button, recent apps button, you can go in and use gestures so that you can swipe up like an iPhone, swipe up and hold to bring up your recent apps. You can switch these buttons around and make your back button on the left and vice versa. You can go into App Cloner and run like 2 Facebooks on your screen. You can run, like I said, multiple apps at once. I showed you that earlier. So if I want to watch a video on the top and social media at the bottom, I can do that as well. There is a crazy amount of customization on this phone. It's ridiculous. So for software, even though the iPhone is going to be smooth and great and updated for years, I can see, someone wanting that direction. But if you want full control, customization, everything, the TCL phone takes the cake. So at that point, it's tough to tell you because, like I said, it's for 2 different people. Some people don't want customization. Some people do. So if you want customization and total control, choose the TCL phone. If you don't care about any of that stuff and you want a phone that's going to get updates and support for years and years and years to come, get the iPhone. Another thing people probably don't think about is accessories. You're going to get the ability to get way more accessories for the iPhone. iPhone is one of the most popular phones you can ever buy. It's hugely popular throughout the world. There's Apple stores. TCL, you won't get that many accessories. It does come with a case in the box, but it's just a little jelly looking case, and it'll protect it from scratches and stuff. But in terms of, just accessory wise, you're going to be better off with the iPhone. One thing also I want to show is keyboard size, just because the keyboard on the iPhone is tiny. So when I'm on a website, you can see how big the keyboard is here, but on an iPhone, just look tiny compared to the Android phone. You can make the Android keyboard even bigger than that as well. So at that point, which phone is the best phone? It's kind of not as cut and dry as you might think. I think overall, in terms of the quality and overall performance and everything, I think the iPhone is a better phone. But if you need a phone with a bigger, better display, a phone with a more modern design, a phone that has tons of customization within the software, then go with the TCL phone. I think you'd be very, very happy. This is a fantastic phone. I think the cameras are slightly better on the iPhone, just in an overall basis. I think it records better audio when you're doing videos and stuff like that. But both are fantastic phones in there. I think they're for different people. So hopefully that answers your question and helps you out if you're deciding between these 2 phones. Thanks for watching. See you down the road. Peace.